just I'll let you know when we're.
I have a live on YouTube.
Oh.
Oh. Okay. We're good. All right, I'll call this regular council meeting of the Village of Grand Manan to order at 7:35 p.m. on October 4th. With us for prayer this evening is Adam DeMerchant from the Lighthouse Church.
Hey, let's just pray really quick together and we'll get started. All right. God, we just give you the next little bit of our time, and we set aside all of our personal agendas and preferences, and we just ask that you would help us make decisions with wisdom for the best and the betterment of everyone around us. Help us to love our neighbor, and this is a good way to do it. Would you be with everyone as they make these decisions and give them patience, love, wisdom, and truth. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks, Adam. I think it's fair to say that this is not how any of us thought we'd be having our October meeting, and I don't think it's anybody's first choice of how to be having a meeting, but given where we are in the pandemic, we made the decision that we thought this was probably the best way going forward, at least for this month, to have our meeting to ensure we were meeting the COVID protocols here in the province, and hopefully things will be a little bit better, and by November we'll be back in the meeting room. I really didn't prepare any opening remarks, I realized once we rolled into this meeting. So the only other thing that I did want to flag for anybody who might be watching is that we are having open house on the rural plan on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Sign up at the village office if you haven't already, and it would be really good to have people turn out in the initial part of the process. So with that, we'll move on to disclosure of conflict of interest. Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is adoption of the minutes. We have the September 13th regular council meeting and the September 21st special meeting.
I'd make a motion to adopt these minutes.
I'd second that motion.
Heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons, seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item number 6, additions to the agenda. Okay, hearing none, and I don't see the RCMP, so we will move on to old business, which is the vaccination policy. Acting CAO Chris Rayner to address.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. So back a couple weeks ago, we all got together to discuss what we were going to come up with for the Village of Grand Manan vaccine policy. We adopted the policy, but since then, there's been some changes that we need to adopt. Pretty much the only one is under testing requirements. The way we had it worded was village staff had to be tested once per week. Counselors and volunteers would be tested as required the day of the meeting. We've since found out that the counselors and volunteers would have to be tested weekly on a regular basis as well. The only other thing that we needed to change, Councillor Russell pointed out that in the policy it made reference to human resources in a couple of spots. We just wanted to change human resources over to the CAO for approval. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept those changes as outlined, or are there any questions?
I make a motion that we accept the changes as outlined.
Heard the motion by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Brown. Councillor Brown, sorry.
Good.
Any question? Yep. Any question on the motion? I guess that's where I am now. All those in favor?
Oh, just a second.
Yep.
Sorry, I was reaching for my wave hand button there. Councillor Layton and I spoke a little bit last week when the news came out that some of the fire department in St. Stephen was being let go due to vaccination requirements. Looking through our directive here, it doesn't seem, I don't see anything in place that would make us have to let any of our non-vaccinated fire department have to give up their positions. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, that we're not requiring it as to remain on the volunteer fire department.
Yeah, Rayner, you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we discussed that, Councillor Boyd, and the volunteer fire department fell under the category of the volunteers. So they just were required to the testing once a week.
Yeah, okay, no, very good. That's what I thought it was all covered under. I just, things get out on Facebook and in the news, and you don't always get the whole story. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't putting ourselves in a position to lose any of our valuable volunteer firefighters. Because we don't have enough as it is, and I'd hate to have Chubby or Dale put in a position to have to ask some of them not to come.
Any other question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Just a question about that policy, though. When are the POC tests going to be available? And when's that going to really take effect?
So in our policy, we have that until Monday, October the 25th, for this to come in to effect. And we have the point of care tests here at the office now.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I think the next thing up is 14.1, new business, which is committee meetings, which is me. Many of us attended a training session that the province put on back in the spring, and they talked about the workings of council meetings, the requirements, that sort of thing. And one of the things that was talked about during that session was that during committee meetings that the clerk should attend to take minutes. And it was clear during that session that there were not a lot of municipalities that were doing that. And so in follow-up with environment and local government, they indicated that it's not a requirement under the Local Governance Act. It's not in our bylaws, but it was more of a practice versus a requirement. So there's a little bit of confusion about how that came across during the session. So given that information, I thought, since we've had conversations sort of on the side about this, it was worthwhile bringing up here just so we can decide how we want to handle that going forward with our committees. The conversation that I had with environment and local government, I indicated, we have these meetings, we're not making decisions at them clearly. Anything just becomes a recommendation back to council. We continue to have, the full discussion about what we talk about in committees, not just here's the report. It's not a two-liner, that there's, an explanation of how we reach sort of what the conclusions were. So, that we're not doing anything behind closed doors, that sort of thing, that there is an open and transparent process. I think the flip side of that is, we have to recognize that the number of committee meetings that we're having, what that requirement would be. So I'm just opening it up to the floor for comments or questions, but that's sort of an update from those training sessions back in the spring.
I think we should,
Quiet.
I'll be noisy. I think we should continue as we've been doing. Like I'm the chair of the finance and properties. I make a few little notes as we go along. But anything we do, and I'm sure the same with other committees, the most we would do is bring forward a recommendation to full council. So I don't think we need to be formally taking minutes. That's my thinking on it.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Anyone else? Okay, well, hearing no opposition, I'm going to assume that we're going to continue on with our best practice, the way we've been doing it. And if there is, desire to change down the road, it's always something we can certainly come back to and look at, whether through a bylaw or just a policy statement. So that was that one. 14.2 is also me, which is Halloween, because it falls on a Sunday this year. In the past, there has been a decision to have trick-or-treating on Saturday when Halloween falls on a Sunday. I just thought it would be good if we talked about it at the beginning of the month instead of scrambling in the last week. So thoughts or concerns?
Good idea.
That's assuming that there's going to be allowed, health-wise, it's going to be allowed within the province, right?
Maybe trunk or treat or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 2 trunk or treats already. I forget who's doing one, but our church is doing one on the 29th, but somebody else is doing one as well.
Is it that group that's doing the fall fair? Aren't they setting up a trunk or treat as well, Chris?
I think so.
That's us.
Right.
Yep. We're doing it at our fall festival next weekend. If we get any participation, right now we have no one that's offered to do it, so we'll see what happens.
I think for the general public, we should do it on Saturday night.
Assuming public health allows.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
based on COVID.
Yeah. Yep.
I think COVID's none, we don't even have to almost say that anymore. That just rules us.
It's why we're here like this tonight, right?
Right.
Okay, so we'll plan on that then for Halloween.
Do we need a motion to that effect?
I don't think so, do we? I mean, it's not a
I don't
formal
know.
thing, no.
Okay.
It's not binding. I mean, if somebody wants to give out treats on Sunday, I don't think we're going to say, no, you can't, but 14.3 is a skateboard park in the parking area. Councillor Green.
I'm muted, right? Okay. Back in July, I think it was, when we gave the okay for the skateboard park to go to its present location, we talked briefly about making up for the lost parking spaces somewhere. And my intent tonight was to ask for permission for the Properties Committee to look at a plan for doing that. But since that, the talk of the performing stage there somewhere, and probably, I don't know where the talks of a wellness center, I've heard different things about that, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't just have some sort of a comprehensive plan to best utilize what land area we have there, if we should get the Properties Committee to do that.
Are you making that a motion, Councillor Green, or do you want to have discussion?
Yeah, that didn't sound like a motion, but oh yeah, I move that we shove that baby off to the Properties Committee to try to come up with a comprehensive plan to best utilize the spaces around the complex.
Sounds good.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Boyd. Question. All those in favor?
I do have a question,
Oh.
sorry.
Sorry, Jane.
It needs to be in consultation with committees that have plans in the works kind of thing. So just putting that in as a thought, like the Arts and Culture Committee with the possibility of a pavilion or whatever, just so that all things are considered.
Talk to all user groups that might have input to that, yes.
Yep.
Good suggestion. Anyone else? I'll try not to be so fast with the question, given the use of the mute button. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. 14.4, Grand Manan Baseball and Softball Committee, call for board member from council, Deputy Mayor Roger Fitzsimmons.
His phone, he doesn't, I can't hear him.
Can't hear him.
Yeah, he's on mute.
I was on mute.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
There he is.
again. Here we go. We'll start all over again. Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's been a committee formed called the Grand Manan Baseball and Softball Committee. They take care of registrations, recruiting coaches, scheduling, making sure everyone from T-ball to our softball leagues have a place to play and gear to use. They are asking for 2 counselors to help out and sit on their committee. Counselor Russell has agreed, and we are looking for 1 more volunteer to help out and sit on the committee. Anyone gonna raise a hand?
I'll raise my hand. I can't find the button quickly, but I'd be interested in doing that.
Thank you, Counselor Green. I'll let them know and they'll be in touch. Appreciate it.
Do we need a motion if they're sitting as council reps on that committee?
I think it would be appropriate, yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
Well, I'd make a motion that Counselor Green and Counselor Russell sit on the Grand Manan Baseball and Softball Committee.
Heard the motion from Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Counselor Brown. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Counselor Turner, there's 2 of you, and I'm a little frightened by that, but that's okay.
I can understand your concerns, just a second.
Item 14.5, speed zone, acting CAO Chris Rayner to address.
So some of you may have known back a year or 2 ago under the previous council, we had a concerned citizen here near the community center came to us in the 10-minute open session to discuss his concern with the amount of vehicles, racing and speeding by, especially where we have the Boys and Girls Club here in the community center, markets, the arena's busy. And so back then we had sent a letter off to DTI asking for a review of the speed zone and maybe even looking at a solid line instead of having the passing lane. It's since come up again. And I think with the addition of the new church just down the road and now the skateboard park with the amount of children coming over from school, walking over, the amount of kids that are here, I wonder if that's something that we shouldn't to revisit. So just putting that out there.
Any comments?
You're off again, Roger. Can't hear you.
I just said I'd like to see him have a look at it again. I've watched a lot of kids crossing the road there and going along on their skateboards, and it's something to look at anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, the passing lane is kind of disturbing there at times.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
I've often thought that one of those illuminated crosswalk signs over the top there somewhere now, especially with the church being there as well. That's a terrible zone. People ramp up coming around the corner and they just crank it for North Ed.
Yep.
Councilor Russell, you have your hand up?
Yes, I agree. We really need to do something there because I know some of the church people are parking on this side of the road, and especially those kids. is this something that we should take up with DOTI district engineer who has a pending visit to the island?
I think it would probably warrant a letter to the minister if it was me, but
So can we get that letter out very quickly? I think it's something that really needs a quick action here. Because it won't be long, there's going to be snow on the sidewalk, there's going to be less travel area. It's even going to get worse for the kids coming, because they will use that park for quite a while.
I hear you making a motion that we do that, Councillor Russell.
I certainly am.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question.
Should we ask them for any options they could suggest just in case, you know, if that's not viable under their rules, like if there's signage options or something that they might suggest, you know, if they say a flat no to the change, rather than start over again kind of thing.
Have that be included in the letter, you mean, like that these are what we're looking at, but open to suggestions, that sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of, if this isn't viable, you know, what would you consider to be, you know, the best option given our, you know, concerns kind of thing.
CAO Rayner?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I have reached out to the RSC because they do have their mobile speed sign, I guess you'll call it. It's on a trailer, something we could set up out here by the community center. So every time a vehicle flashes, you can set the speed. And every time someone exceeds that speed, it records it. So that way there, we would also have that information to add to our argument. If we've got, you know, out of 200 vehicles that pass by here in a week, 150 of them were exceeding the 80-kilometer-an-hour zone type of thing. Just some extra ammunition to go with our argument.
Sounds good. I think, given the speeds that are going by there. I'm trying to remember where we were, Councillor Russell.
How quick can we get this set up to get some stats? Is this something we can look at over a couple of weeks so we can get at this? I'm asking the CEO, I guess he seems to have the info.
Yeah, I've just put the request in. I'm not sure if or when we get it, if there's a time frame that we're only able to have it for a certain amount of time, but we'll certainly try to get it for as long as we can.
Okay, I believe we have a motion on the floor that has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. I do want to say the last time we asked for a speed limit review, it took about 1.5 years. So yeah, just a little bit of word of caution there. Item 14.6, John Williamson, a letter of congratulations. I think as a matter of course, it would make sense to send a letter of congratulations to Mr. Williamson, who was reelected as Member of Parliament, and invite him to come and sit down with us sometime when he's on the island, COVID restrictions permitting, of course. Any comments?
I mean, it's a logical move, yeah.
Would you like to make that a motion?
Hit the button. The little pointy thing has to be on the icon before it does anything. You never notice that? Technology.
It's very
Yeah,
sensitive.
I make a motion. I make a motion. We get a letter up to John Williamson offering our congratulations and inviting him to a sit down at the earliest possibilities.
Heard the motion by Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item 14.7, 3 from the Sea, presentation by Councillor Layton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow councillors. Are we ready with this? Wherever we are in Grand Manan, we are connected to the sea. The ocean provides us with the oxygen we breathe, the climate that sustains us, and of course, our successful fishing industry. Through education that inspires participation, Take 3 from the Sea is a global movement involved in over 120 countries. I've been following this group for a while and have decided to try it here. Collaborating with our recreation program director, Tanisha Goodwin, and our Boys and Girls Club after school program, we designed and painted 3 collection bins, one designated for each plastic, rope, and recyclables. These bins were installed in Dark Harbor. The goal was for people who walk the beach to bring 3 things that do not belong in the ocean. The bins were installed August 13th and emptied on September the 28th. In that 46-day period, 774 pieces of plastic were returned, 23 pieces of styrofoam, 239 recyclable containers, and approximately 4,000 feet of rope. The results are more than remarkable. Based on these results, next year I'd like to see the project reach an even bigger heights, including our busiest and most visited beaches. Simple actions can address complex problems, and we have seen this happen through 3 from the Sea. So I'd like to make a motion to create a line item in the budget in the amount of $2,500 to dedicate to the 3 from the Sea program and add the bins to the collectors or to the garbage collectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Layton. You heard the motion. Do we have a seconder?
I would second that.
Seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Question,
Question.
Councillor Russell?
Sorry, just wait, I got to turn it. For people out there that don't know what I'm doing, I'm in an office with automatic lights and they keep going on. That's why I keep jumping up and waving my arms. You were garbled a little bit, Jordy. What was the 2,500 for, please? Just, sorry.
To bring 4 different sites into it, 4 different typical beaches, busiest beaches, I guess. Just put 3 bins on the 4 of them, see where it goes. $2,500 is to buy the plywood, buy the paint for the kids to do it. It's going to be the after school club program. That's going to be who's involved with that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Boyd?
Yes, so I'm not sure if you're all familiar, but on most of the wharfs, there are rope bins now put there by Huntsman Marine. If it would be the will of the group, I can reach out to Huntsman and see if that's something that they'd be willing to partner with and even possibly take some of the financial load on that as well.
Great idea, Dan. Great idea.
That's a good idea.
The more collaboration, the better.
I will say, having participated in their marine debris committee, they're always looking for projects, and I think they'd definitely be interested in doing something, whether financial or at least helping with some of the promotion, that sort of thing. So we have a motion and a seconder on the floor. Are there any more questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Committee reports. Recreation Director's report. You're not CAO, you're the rec director apparently now.
We're gonna switch roles here. Yeah. So yeah, the 3 weeks since our last meeting, it's been hasn't been real busy. I guess the 2 big ticket things that's taken the majority of our time was the Sealcoat ball field and the arena. So with the Sealcoat ball field, last we spoke, we were going to try our best to try to get that ready for the high school team to use. We spent a lot of time down there. We hired Dutchmen to come in to help. We also subcontracted out Carter Foster's tractor that he was doing the side of the road with, and really got it cleaned up nice. We were able to get it into a spot where they were able to hold their games there. I think they've played, Councillor Russell, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think they've had 3 out of their 4 home games. One was rained out, and I think they were looking at trying to make that up, possibility of even as early as tomorrow. But all rumors come back, everything was positive. I think the area certainly looks a lot better than it did. Hopefully moving forward is something that we can get the kids to use on a more regular basis in the summertime, if that's something they're going to look at doing every fall. And as well as we've reached out to softball, seeing if we can get them down there on a more regular basis as well to help maintain that field. With the arena's been a lot of the reason for, you probably can't see my gray hair with that blowing palm tree in the background here, but it seems to be getting grayer all the time. The ice machine has been something to be desired so far. The first 2 weeks that it run, everything seemed to go without a hitch. We spent 2 full days flooding, trying to build the ice, and we took some time off to go to Sealcoat. When we come back, the machine had turned off and all the ice had melted. So it was a bit frustrating to say the least. But since then, the machine has been going on and off on a regular basis. I think Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons, he got the babysitting duty on Saturday night. I think there were several visits at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and even as late as 2 a.m., just trying to keep the machine running. We're about 2 weeks behind, or 3 weeks behind, I guess, on our ice making. The kids should have been on the ice last week. So a lot of our effort is focused on just trying to get that. We've had refrigeration team over to look at it. When I called him on Sunday, I said, I think everything you did when you were here on Thursday made it worse. So he had to talk us through on the phone to redo everything that he had done to get it back to normal. Knock on wood, hopefully. I think it's been running since Sunday morning so far. We were able to get some floods in over the weekend as well as today. So here's hoping to things to a better window of opportunity with the weather outside, and hopefully the ice making goes a little bit smoother so we can get the kids on the ice as soon as possible. That's pretty much it for my report. Like I said, there's only a couple things taken up over time this week, but they're this past month. So if anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Any questions?
Yes, Chris, if everything goes well, when, as soon as possible, is that 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
The league schedule for the kids is scheduled to start Friday, the 22nd of October. I'm really hoping that the kids are able to have their first weekend on the ice. So I'm not sure what that is for actual days. I'm just looking at my calendar here. So that's basically 2 weeks from this Friday. So hopefully by then, as long as things go okay and the machine doesn't act up anymore or we don't have any major problems, hopefully we'll be on the ice by then.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. 15.2, Transportation Committee Report. Councillor Layton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, fellow councillors. September has been a busy month for our roads, with work continuing on Thoroughfare, Bloomisher, and Hill Road. They're running a bit behind schedule, but moving along nicely. The meeting with Village Council and District Engineer has not been finalized, but should come this month. The DTI Aaron truck will be on the island soon to scan our current pavement conditions. This truck is an automatic road and analyzer. The unit uses an advanced system of cameras, scanners, and GPS to pinpoint every bump, pothole, and cracks in the highway, and is a positive step forward in the process of upgrading our roads. The communication issue between the village and coastal transport in regards to real-time alerts concerning the ferry schedule interruptions has been addressed. We haven't had any issues as of yet to see if the problem has actually been fixed, but I'm confident in our discussions with them. We had a meeting with our MLA, Andrea Anderson Mason, discussed a lot of issues in regards to GTI and the lack of communication. She was able to track down the cost of the thoroughfare project and the village's share of 50% of the $561,000 cost. The airport expansion was also discussed. Andrea had met with Premier Higgs and he expressed interest in its status. The field work and studies have been done and are being finalized by Brunswick Engineering. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Councillor Layton. Are there any questions? Yeah, okay, I think CEO Rayner, you were up first, and then I see Councillor Russell.
Just a bit of an FYI on the Transportation Committee thing. I had a call tonight when I was home at supper time from the ticket office. Apparently there's going to be some interruptions with the Whitehead ferry over the next little bit. Just bear with me. I want to bring it up just so I can have this over here. Maybe people will hear it here. So it says the J Air. Is that the John Rigby? Is that the ferry that's here? Maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It says it will be canceling and postponing trips as follows due to tides under 3 feet. October 6th, the 6 a.m. is canceled. The 1900 is pushed to 1930, departing from Whitehead. October 7th, the 6 a.m. is canceled. 1900 pushed to 2015, departing from Whitehead. October 8th, the 745 is canceled. The 1900 is also canceled. October 9th, the 745 is canceled and the 1900. So I will do my best to try to get that out on the Sentinel, but my concern is the length of the email with trying to get that all in under our 144 characters that we have for the Sentinel is going to be a bit of a challenge. So if we could just kind of help spread the word some other way, maybe Facebook page with the website, but I'll try my best to get as much information on there as I can.
Maybe the day before of the cancellation, you could put out a Sentinel for that next day, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. We could do that for sure.
Councillor Russell?
Your speaker's off, Greg.
You're on mute.
Here, let's try this. Have we had official notice from DOTI that we are in for 50% of the thoroughfare road?
Chris, I'm pretty sure we pay half. That's the deal.
I haven't seen anything official. The only thing I got was everything that was forwarded on to council with that the MLA got with the current price of the project.
Okay.
But if you read the agreement, it does say that the village of Grand Manan is responsible for 50% of the designated highways that's cost shared.
Yeah. It's just, we were given quick notice on Hill Road and Dock, but we haven't heard anything really about the thoroughfare. I know it's a big ticket item, but the three projects seem to be all treated a little different with respect to our village.
Yes.
I think that's a fair assessment. Hopefully, if we get our meeting set up with the district engineer, it's one of the things we can have a conversation about at that point. Anything else under transportation?
Thank you.
Okay, Hearing none. 15.3 Health Committee report, which is myself. Our Health Committee had a meeting on September 15th. It was just sort of an initial sit down, talk about what some of the issues were, what some of the things we wanted to accomplish were. We've decided we want to add another couple people to the committee, including public health and mental health, just to sort of get a more well-rounded group that's there. One of the things that we talked about working towards is like a navigator or some sort of flow chart or something outlining what services are available on the island, where they are, how you can access them, that sort of thing, because it's not really clear sometimes what there is that is available. The other thing that came up was the hospital is looking at a pilot project to have a respiratory therapist on staff on a part-time basis on a one-year trial. And they would be looking for a letter of support from the village for that. This is something that anybody at this point who needs a respiratory therapist would obviously have to leave the island. So it would be really great if we had access to those services here on the island. So that's our very brief report. I don't know if anybody else on the Health Committee wants to add anything, but if not, I'm hoping someone would make a motion. Councillor Boyd, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, yesterday, one of the resolutions that was put on the floor and voted through at UMNB at the AGM pertained a lot to this, about the UMNB as an association lobbying the provincial government to get more access and more services to outlying areas. So I think this is a pretty timely conversation.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Didn't we have another letter of support that we agreed to for Mike, the pharmacist?
We did at the last meeting, I think September, that was the last meeting.
Right. Yep.
He was looking at bringing in a doctor to have on staff that would be part of a group that would be based there at the pharmacy, things for blood pressure checks, diabetes, that sort of thing. And we've given him that letter. Anything else? Would anybody like to make a motion to support the pilot project for a respiratory therapist at the hospital?
I would make that motion.
You heard the motion by Councillor Greenlaw. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item 15.4, the Arts and Culture Committee report. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is my first report. So it's kind of an update of what we're doing for arts and culture. Roger Fitzsimmons and Jane Turner are on the committee, as well as we have two community members, Jennifer Neves and Heather Ingalls. Heather's going to be our grant writer if we can ever get anything put together to write a grant about, because we're working on a bandstand, and it's there's quite a bit to it anyway. This is the design. Hopefully you guys can see it. Can you see it?
No.
Nope. It's not on screen for me at all.
Maybe it's because I'm doing it on my cell phone. Oh, there it is. Can you see it?
There.
Yeah. This is a design that we're looking at right now. We got a quote, and then we've got a second one coming in, but we can't do anything with that until we have a full cost analysis. So that's kind of like in the foreground, but in the background too. So what we're thinking of now and what we're working towards is we've decided that maybe we could have a summer festival on the island that kind of takes the place where the Rotary left off, and start kind of our own thing under the umbrella of, you know, the village, but still different people putting in their whatever they want to do in that weekend. And we thought we'd do it the same weekend, you know, end of July, 1st to August weekend. We had Robbie Griffin come in our last meeting and give us some great ideas and gave us some helpful hints and what to do's and what not to do's. And it was really good advice. And we thought we would start things off with a little bit of a contest for the village to name the festival. And that would get things moving and get people talking and, get the ball rolling. And then after that, we thought we would do a survey and see what people might be interested in for a festival. Anyway, that's what we've got going so far, and we'll keep you posted as things progress.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Brown. Do we have any questions?
So do we want suggestions put into the village office?
Yeah, I don't
Want to
know.
start that now?
I think we should, because the sooner we get it going, the better it will be. And what we should probably do is put it on our Facebook page, like the little, what would you like to see at a festival on Grand Manan? Like, like everyone knows I don't like parades, but if parades are number one, then there will be a parade, right? So, so it's just whoever wants to do whatever, within, reason, what people would like to see at their festival.
Anybody else secretly want Councillor Brown to now have to lead the parade, like through the center of town or something like that?
And with a clown costume on, which I hate.
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna say.
That would be the end of me right there. That would be the end of me.
Okay, anyone else?
I think it's a great idea, Joanne. And I personally have really been missing the Rotary festivals. And I think if this is something that we could get moved forward and have that as kind of like the big first event in this possible new venue, it's kind of to christen it. And then you've got, Carly Maker could do her Summer's End Folk Festival there, and Graydon could do his festival there. And it could really be a great, cool community space. And I think it's a great idea, and I look forward to it moving forward.
Yeah. If we can get it going. There's a lot to it that I didn't realize when I took it on. Chris has been helping me a ton, I've been getting lots of help, but there's a lot to it. And until you get money, how much it's going to cost, you can't really move forward. You just have to, you're kind of stalled. And we got one quote, it was so expensive that we went, whoa, so we're going for number 2, and hopefully that will be better.
Hopefully the cost of building materials comes down sometime in the near future too. That would certainly help. Anyone else with questions, comments?
Just one sort of additional thing. When we talked about the festival, one thing that we thought would be beneficial to sort of balance out the load and make sure that, it wasn't just the village doing things, and it's hard to get volunteers now, is to have different groups, different, like either organizations or businesses or whatever, doing their own thing within that venue of the festival. So, you could have food trucks or whatever, but just having people that saw a benefit for them or their business or their organization, taking a bit or a piece of that time that we would need to fill, because we thought it would make it much more manageable if we just had to pull everything together, as opposed to making sure that every little bit happened a certain way and all that, which I thought was much more doable than saying, okay, the village is gonna,
Right.
take care of everything that happens over the next 2 days or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think the plan is pretty solid, what we
Yeah.
discussed.
Yeah, we plan on being like basically the managers of
Yep.
the festival, and and manage, and just let people, well, I mean, you can't have everything, but we're going to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Organize it so that it's, so that one thing isn't running into something else, and you're not taken away from, that kind of thing, I guess. Yeah.
Sounds good. I think, like Councilor Boyd said, I think a lot of us have missed the Rotary Festival, so it will be good to have something going on in summer again. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 17, approval to pay the following invoices. From the General Operating Fund, Howard Benson, Physician's House Maintenance, $2,487. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we pay the invoice as described.
Heard the motion by Councillor Turner. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzsimmons. Question,
Question.
Councillor Russell?
Alyssa, could you just give a brief breakdown of what that 2487 entails, please?
Yep, for sure. That's Howard. He painted the doctor's house and he built the deck. We've paid for the materials, but we haven't actually paid Howard to do it yet. So that's what the bill's for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? CO Rayner?
Yeah, I would just add that Howard called one day because he knew he was getting up there on the amount of work he was doing at the doctor's house. So I actually went up and done a walkthrough with him. And I don't think to that point there had been any work done to that house since the village bought it quite some time ago. And he certainly did do a lot of work building the deck, fixing windows, painted the house, fixed the side of the garage where it had a leak from the gutter and it rotted the side of the garage. So we had to dig that out, run up a retaining wall with some cement and repair that and fix one of the windows. So he certainly did do quite a lot of work up there. And with that, the mayor sent me a text a while back saying she was having some internet issues. I wonder if we lost her.
We did lose her. She just sent me a message.
Okay.
Said that she had lost it. Wondering if I could take over. So we'll go to 20, which is the next meeting. The regular council meeting at the Grand Manan Community Center would be November 1st, 2021 at 7:30.
We didn't vote on paying the invoice, did we?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, we didn't vote. That's right.
Oh, we didn't?
No.
Oh, we best do that. We best do that for Howard. So we've had it seconded?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone contrary minded? Motion is passed. So now I believe it's the, like I
think you
said,
have to-
next,
Roger, I think you have to do the closed session motion that we discussed earlier.
all for the personnel.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think the mayor's back.
Yeah.
Where is she?
Sorry
There
about
she
that.
is.
She there? Okay, there you
I'm
go.
here. Internet is great.
I was
Sorry.
trying to end it real quick, but I
All
guess
right.
there is one more thing.
So yeah, that would be item 18.1, which is personnel. We had our closed session just ahead of the meeting. And I hope I am not duplicating anything.
Madam Mayor, as a result of the discussions at our personnel meeting, I would move that we continue the role of acting CAO for Chris for until November 2nd, I believe it is. And we'll address it at that time again.
You heard the motion from Councillor Green. Do we have a seconder?
Second,
Second that.
get 2 seconds.
I'm not even sure what that was. I see Councillor Brown on my screen, so I'm going to go with her. Any question? No question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. So that brings us to the conclusion of this bizarre meeting. Councillor Russell, you have your hand up.
Yeah, there's an item 23 is information for council. Am I allowed to ask a question under information for council?
Sure.
I guess the building inspector's report, in the future, is it possible to have that broken down to residential numbers and commercial numbers? To just take all those numbers and split them between residential and commercial. I'm interested in what activity there is in each of those sectors.
I would suggest we ask the CAO to follow up with the building inspector to make sure that there's not a privacy issue with it and report
Okay.
back at that point. Is that fair?
Yeah, because it's just numbers, there's no names or anything. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I didn't know if we ever got to 23 or not. We usually adjourn.
We usually do. So thank you, everybody, for your patience and bearing with us during this meeting and all of the inherent issues there are with Zoom. Hopefully, we're all back in a room together soon. Our next regular council meeting is November 1st, hopefully at the community center at 7:30 p.m. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'd make that motion to adjourn.
You have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
So do we